Hey guys, I know I said in the last video that the next video was going to be fashion and shopping, and I'm still going to do that, but I had some time to film some food related things, food and meals, and I feel like this is a video that a lot of people have wanted to see. When I did the question and answers, a lot of people asked questions about food, and I know that a lot of the French teachers that watch my videos want this kind of video to show in class, and I know that I'm going to be showing this video a lot to my students in class in the future. So let's get on into the video. But first of all, I just want to say that meals, especially at home and with the family, are super important here. It's a lot different than the US, where I feel like, at least in my family, we always had sports things going on at night, and so we didn't always sit down as a family and eat together every night. But here, it's a requirement, it's obligatory, and it's really important that you're there, you're present, you're not on your phone, you're really engaging and talking with your family. And so I really love that, and a lot of the things about French meals I'm going to integrate into my future home and my future family, because I just really love the values and the purposes behind it all. So this is how the French set their table. It is always set up like this, and yeah, I'm just going to explain that. So they always have the knife and the big spoon to the right, and then the fork on the left, and the smaller spoon up top. The big spoon is for like soup and stuff, so it's not always there. And then they always set the napkin on top of the plate. And it's a long story why I have a paper napkin and not a cloth napkin like everybody else. That's for another vlog. So yes, and then they always have these tiny little water glasses and a pitcher of water so that you don't have to keep getting up and going and refilling. But the tiny little glasses are hard for me because I just drink the whole thing in like one sip. So there are always at least 3 courses to the meals in France. And what we're doing here is mixing the salad, which is going to be the entree. And in the States, entree means the main course, but here it means like the thing that enters the meal first. So we're having a salad here for the entree, and then there is the plat principal, which is it means like the main plate or the main course, and then usually there's like cheese and bread in between that and dessert, but I don't eat that, so we don't have the cheese. And then there's always dessert, which I'm not mad about it, and I love that about France, that there's always dessert. So this is what more of a formal breakfast looks like. This morning we were having breakfast with 2 guests, and so the table is all set and everything's out on the table. Normally I just have one placemat and a plate and everything out in the morning, and the bread is set on the table in the mornings usually, but here it was just fancier. Yeah, so they have a bunch of croissants, which I can't eat because they have butter, and then the butter you see a bunch of jam. Like I've mentioned earlier, the French love jam and jelly. This is the one that I eat every single morning on my bread, the strawberry jam. It is life. And then they also had some, oh, here, I show you the tea. Yeah. So as I was saying, they had some other pastries for breakfast that were like croissant au chocolat and pain au chocolat, which I can't eat. And here you can see she's pouring the tea into this bowl. And I've noticed that is something that a lot of the French do. They drink their tea out of a bowl. And so that's what I was doing this morning. And I had the bread and the little water glass, of course. So yeah, they love tea. So it's a super French thing to eat or just drink out on like a little terrace outside of the restaurant. People do it all the time, and it is just so French. So I'm just showing you how many people are out there, and just even in the cold weather, people are out there, and they provide blankets. So now I'm going to show you some of the foods that I've eaten, and if you know me well, you know that I am so picky and so just particular about what I'm going to eat, but that is all changed here, and it is crazy. Some of the things that I've tried have like blown my mind, and I'm like, who are you and where did Mallory go? Because at home I like would never try any of these things, but French meals, and I almost said French repas is the word for meal. French meals are all about politeness. Is that a word in English? Politeness? Manners? I don't know. But it really embodies the phrase of table manners. French meal culture does. So I wanted to be polite and eat everything, and I ended up liking a lot of it. So you're going to see some things now. So I may have mentioned this before, but this trip has made me fall in love with soup. My host mom makes soup all the time, not so much anymore because it's getting hotter outside, but she has this huge soup making machine and she makes the best soups. It's literally just vegetables and a little bit of water, and it is so good. This one I think was made with leeks and potatoes. I don't know, but they're so good. This dish is called broccoli bread. I'm not entirely sure why, but yeah, my host mom called it pain de brocoli, and it's basically just eggs, potato, and then broccoli, I guess. I don't know, but it was actually so good, and I'm so surprised with myself that I ate it and loved it, so be proud of me. So this is called a quiche Lorraine, and it is just a normal quiche. It's like the most popular kind of quiche, I believe, and it was just made with eggs and ham, and then the crust at the bottom, and it was so dang good. Usually they make it with cheese, but of course I can't eat that, so tant pis. But I'm not gonna lie, I definitely had like 2 big pieces of this because it was just that good, and I definitely got the recipe from my host mom. So honestly, this was something super bizarre, and I was kind of nervous about whether or not I was going to like it. It is a zucchini filled with like this chicken and tomato mixture. I don't know. And then obviously that's just white rice, but I was kind of nervous, but it ended up being really good on the first night. We had it as a leftover like on the second night, and it really was not as good, but it was pretty good on the first night, and I was really, really surprised that I ate it and liked it. Okay, this is one of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life. It was one of our desserts, and it is a hot apple filled with rhubarb jelly or jam, and then it's on top of a gaufre, which a gaufre is really just like a waffle cookie, and these gaufres are literally the loves of my life. I cannot tell you how many boxes of them I've bought and gone through so fast because they are the most delicious thing on the planet. They are like a cookie waffle filled with honey, and it is just incredibly delicious, and I want to bring like 500 packages home with me because I'm going to miss them so much. This is a chocolate mousse with strawberries on top, and surprisingly it is dairy free. Praise God. It is basically just, I think, eggs, and she used soy milk and chocolate. Dark chocolate doesn't have milk in it, so I can eat that, and that's what she used. And then obviously strawberries, and it is just, oh, it was delicious, and I'm so happy that I could enjoy chocolate again. So I got the recipe for that. So I am now going to tell you about things that are different than meals in America. First off, like I already said, the French embody the phrase table manners, so it's all about just being polite and having etiquette. Like I said, they set the table every time, and it's always the same way. And yeah, and another thing that's really weird is that it's not weird, it's cool, but it's different. You don't eat until everyone has their food, and someone will usually say bon appetit before you eat. So you don't just like chow down when you get your food or when you serve it. You gotta wait for everyone to get it, and then you can start eating. And I would probably wait until someone says bon appetit before you start eating. And along with that, if you want to fill up your water glass, so the little tiny water glass I was talking about with the pitcher, if you want to fill it up, then you need to offer it to everyone else at the table if they want you to fill theirs up. So you don't just like fill yours up and then set it back down. You need to at least offer it to everyone, or just go ahead and fill it if like everyone's is empty. You do that. And it's the same with the bread. Like I said, millions of times in the vlogs, there's bread at every single meal in France. And so at dinner, or I don't know, I haven't had really lunch here, but at dinner, if you cut the bread to give yourself some, you got to cut it for everyone else and give everyone else some, or at least offer, because it's just polite and that's just what you do. Another thing that I had no idea about and that is really different than at home is the way that you have your elbows and your hands on the table. So I was always taught, I don't even know from where, but putting your elbows on the table was not good. And it's not that big of a deal in my family, like seriously, not at all. But I always heard that that was just like table etiquette, not to put your elbows on the table. But here in France, it is bad to keep your hands down in your lap while you're eating. And so that's just a habit for me, is like I eat with my right hand and my other hand is just like laying in my lap while I eat. But my host family, they weren't offended or anything by it, but they just told us like, hey, yeah, you know the difference. Like in France, we keep our hand laying up on the table. The hand that you're not using to eat, you leave it on the table and you eat. And so it's been really hard for me to do that. I'll like catch myself with it down in my lap all the time, and I have to like remember to put it up on the table while I eat. And it's okay if you have your elbow on the table, as long as you're not just like eating like that. But yeah, it's okay if you have your elbows really on the table, but just don't keep your hands down below the table. Oh, and one more thing about the meals. I don't know, some people do it like this in the States, but my family has never done it like this really. They always bring the courses and set them on the table, and then everyone serves themselves there, instead of like leaving it up on the counter, up on the stove, where everyone like goes in a line and serves and then goes and sits down. That's how my family pretty much does it, but here it's all on the table. So I think this video is probably like 15 minutes by now, and I'm sorry about that, but I feel like it's really interesting information for people who don't even know France or don't even like take French or whatever, but also for French students to be able to see and know it from someone who's here at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed this, even though this was like a full TV episode. But if you have any more questions regarding repas, I said it again. If you have any more questions regarding meals, then definitely let me know, and I will see you soon.